on digital radio, on the app, on your smart speaker, on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch.tv, and Facebook. The Sportscast. Summer of Soccer.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk presented by The Sportscast.
The Jersey Boys Sports Talk with Victor Arocho and Byron Jones. And here's your host, Victor Arocho.
Hello. Welcome live out of Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Welcome to the Jersey Boys Sports Talk, hosted by Byron Jones and Victor Arocho. Brought to you by The Sportscast. Today is June 18th, 2024. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to The Sportscast and all our channels, YouTube, Twitter, Spotify, and iTunes. And you can go to either the iTunes podcast, or you just go to Spotify, look up Jersey Boy Sports Talk, subscribe, get notifications. Please leave us a rating. It'll help us out tremendously. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel at The Sportscast. See the playlist, Jersey Boy Sports Talk. Go to the YouTube Sportscast channel. We are streaming live every Thursday at 8 p.m. on Facebook and on YouTube. Please leave your comments. We'll get back to everyone, either by text or by video. Welcome back to the show, and let's get it going. Mr. Byron Jones, how are you today back at home?
Wonderful. It's not scorching hot the way it was down there. After the 15-hour ride to get home, driving up, I should have never took Route 13 and Route 17. I was all over the place. And, yeah, it was a long ride coming back from Myrtle Beach. I will never do that again.
Didn't you say it was a long ride going down as well?
Yeah, it was long. Well, I kind of figured, going down, it was going to be like that, because you go down Route 17, it's a nice scenic, ride, you can stop wherever, some lights and all kinds of stuff over there. But then for some reason, like when you want to come home, it's like, man, I want to go home now. I want to hurry up and get out of here. And next thing you know, it's like, oh my God, man. Oh, I'm never going to see Pennsylvania again.
How long did it take to get home? How long did it take?
Almost 16 hours.
From Myrtle Beach?
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh, that's got to be the worst, man.
Yeah, because we ended up going like up 13. Then we had to get to 17. So we went up 13 to 64 to 17.
Was there traffic? What was the problem?
It was just, no, not really. It just took a long time, man. I was like, man, and then we finally, got home. It was probably about like 1 o'clock in the morning. We left at like 9 or whatever time we left, about 10. And it's like 1 o'clock in the morning, get to the house. It's like, you know what? I'm leaving all these bags out here. I ain't bringing nothing to the house. I went to bed, man. Oh my God, it was brutal.
Oh my God. And you drove the whole time?
I drove the whole time, man.
Man, you're a better man. I don't drive at all. Thank God my wife drives. So I just chill, watch TV, and sit back. Don't do anything. I'm starting to get a cold, so... All right, well, we have a guest in the green room. Let's bring on. He is a super Kansas City Chiefs fan and the reigning champions, Mr. Jeff Fawver, I believe. There we go. Did I pronounce that correct, Jeff? How do you pronounce your last name?
It's Fawver.
Fawver. Okay, I can't.
Fawver. Yep, that's right.
I didn't see the V. Fawver. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Jersey Boy Sports Talk. You're a big Kansas City fan, I hear.
Yeah, it's funny. I always joke with my wife when I used to go out in public, people, if I wear my Chiefs gear, people would stop me and say, like, how do you deal with these crazy playoff losses? They always lost in the most insane ways. And then now I'll have, especially older guys will come up to me and be like, tell me one quarterback that played for them before Mahomes. I get accused of being a bandwagoner. Which, I never thought that would be the case. But, I started cheering for them because Marcus Allen was my favorite player. I just loved that he was a humble guy. And I was young at that time. And I just decided in the first year of free agency, I was like, wherever Marcus Allen goes, that's going to be my squad. So here we are.
That's awesome. I was one of those people. I was always a Chiefs. I always rooted for the Chiefs for some reason because they were just like, non-competition to me being a Giant fan, and like and I wanted to see him well, but it's true, man. They let me down. Marty Schottenheimer let me down. He Let me tell you something. He can get a lot of teams to playoffs, but he can't win them. So I really thought the Chiefs was there, and obviously when Montana went there, I was rooting for them heavily. And then a very good friend of mine unfortunately passed away. I don't know if you know Pelham McDaniels. Do you remember Pelham McDaniels?
I do, defensive lineman. Yeah.
Defensive lineman. He was my next door neighbor in Georgia. We knew each other for 4 years, and we became really close. And unfortunately, he passed away early. I mean, he's big. He's probably the nicest, gentlest man I've ever met. Good guy. He got his doctorates from Emory. He
Wow.
was teaching. I mean, he after football, he got a scholarship and everything just from his grades. And I mean, he was definitely a man to admire. So, I've nothing for him, respect for him and the McDaniel's family. But I was excited when they said you were a Kansas City fan. I was like, hopefully he knows Pelham. And
Yeah.
actually, we started this show 4 or 5 years ago, right, Byron? Our first show we dedicated to him.
Yep, per
Yeah,
show.
he had just passed away. It broke my heart. I mean, 53, 54 years old. He was playing for Atlanta for 2 years after he left Kansas City and then came over here. So, well, welcome to the show. So let's get it going started. All right, Mr. Byron, what do you got for me today with Giants? What do you got in Giant Land?
Daniel Jones will probably be not going to pup list, when the season, when they report to camp. Uh, the rookies and the first year guys are in camp, right now. I've been watching kind of sort of the hard knocks, and it's just brutal, to watch, as far as, when Saquon sort of uh, wandered to the other team the way he did, and the owner of the team basically, I think he's probably really sick to his stomach, the fact that he went to the Eagles. If he'd have went to the Chicago Bears, they'd probably be able to live with it. But to go to the Eagles the way they did, and and Shane basically, they run it back by committee, and then look what happened. It's been a kind of sort of a train wreck. So basically, who's in charge? Is it really Shane? Is really the guy, or Mara hasn't meddled like the way he used to? It looks like he hasn't meddled, but this time not meddling cost them basically their best player.
Yeah, well, it's funny you said that. We should probably start doing a little before preseason, some series on the Hard Knocks because I started watching it myself. But let me ask you a question. You playing in the NFL and you watching Hard Knocks, just the way they were just talking about what they're going to do with Saquon made me feel uncomfortable. Like, is even Saquon aware of this right now? I mean, that's all behind the scenes, right? The agent doesn't know yet. Saquon doesn't know yet. Would you agree, Byron? Is that how that goes?
No, they know. You figure everybody has like that secret agent guy. You might as well, basically say that they do. As far as like, a little bit of, information leaks out over here, then you get a little bit of information over here, and you get a little bit more over here, and it just all comes together. And most of the time, they are right.
Interesting. I don't know about you, but man, if the bosses were thinking about trading me in the back of my head, and I'm Saquon, I'm going to look for a place to land.
Yeah, but you know who had a good deal? Well, and we have the Kansas City guy here. We have, the corner, Snead, right? I guess then he got traded right to Tennessee because I guess Tennessee did. Well, I mean, the Chiefs didn't want to pay him all that money, as far as being a corner there. So I guess they traded him. Might as well get something out of him because the Chiefs, I think, have drafted like 9 corners or whatever, over the last couple of years. They drafted a lot of corners, and
Yeah.
McDuffie was my guy. I like that guy, and he's turned out like an all pro, he's all pro corner, and slot, corner. But the Giants probably could have done something like that where they at least get something, sign him, trade him someplace out of the division where you ain't got to deal with him. But they sort of just let him just wander off into the sunset right down the turnpike.
Yeah.
I was surprised with that too. If nothing else, just so that you can pick the destination. Keep them out of your rivals' hands.
Yeah, I mean, you're giving him extra motivation every game he plays, right? Because he's
Sure.
playing against people he's already played against, right? So that's number one. And then it's funny though. Let me tell you, that Kansas City's got a shot of continually being good for several years. Because if you're saying to me that they've been drafting cornerbacks for the last several years. Think about what's been happening in the league. Remember, we had our discussion that the next guys being paid are going to be cornerbacks, right?
Yep.
Because you can't be paying these receivers the money you're paying them and expect the cornerbacks not asking for their money now because they got to cover them, right? And if they do a decent job of covering them, they're going to be worth their gold, right? So if Kansas City is loading up already, right, with quarterbacks, they saw the writing on the wall. You know what I mean? Because you're prepping yourself for these guys. Because these guys now with big contracts got to be paid. I got to play well, and they also are going to be targeted, right? I mean, you can't. The owner ain't going to say, "I ain't paying this guy $40-50 million a year for him not to catch the ball. Throw him the ball, right? Just like a running back, give him the ball, right?" And then even on the Giants, in the Hard Knocks, they were saying, "Look, I'm paying you $40 million, Daniel Jones, not to hand the ball off." So if they're telling a quarterback of just Daniel Jones level, "I'm paying you to do something," they got to be expecting those receivers that are paying big dollars to do something. What are your thoughts on that, Byron?
Well, we've talked about this 1,000 times, and the fact that the offensive line has sucked. Right, that's the only way you could put it. They've been awful. Barkley was basically the whole offense. They don't have the elite receiver. Even though we thought Kadarius Toney would be that guy for us, and ended up with the Chiefs. He got 2 Super Bowls and blah blah blah. Whatever.
Did he
But
get a second one? Yeah, he did get a second one.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then they never, and even Mara said the same thing. We've done everything to screw this kid up. He said it. The owner of the team said that they basically screwed him up by not protecting him, not giving him weapons, not doing this. And then you turn around, and they had to pay him or Saquon. So I guess they picked him, and now he has to put up or shut up. This year he's done. And with Hard Knocks, basically, they put it out there that they were looking to trade up to get Jalen Daniels, the kid that ended up with Washington Commanders. Just think if that kid, is lights out, in Washington, and then Daniel goes, circles the drain. Just think how Dable is going to feel that well, we could have got this guy, and I ended up with this.
And Sean.
Somebody's going to get fired. Yeah, I don't know which one. First,
I'd fire if they don't do well this year. At least play competitive, because look. We're not the typical fans that are going to say, "Oh, they're going to win the Super Bowl this year," like some fans do every year, no matter how bad their team is, right? I'm sure there's Chicago fans thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl. You're not going to win the Super Bowl, Chicago. You're not even going to get into the conference finals, right? Maybe you'll do okay, but you're just not going to the Super Bowl. But, I want us to be competitive. But in the same token, I think that watching Hard Knocks, I'm not impressed. It's just the way they're talking, just the way that things are going on. I don't know. Maybe I just got to watch a little bit more. I only watched the first 2 episodes, but I wasn't impressed. But I guess my point being is my thoughts of that Kansas City, with as good as they are, the opportunity to three-peat. My point that I wanted to, or the narrative I want to talk about is the fact that the Chiefs have been building up the corner position for the last several years is like hindsight that should pay off based on the way the receiver market is, right? That's what I'm asking. What are your thoughts on that, Jeff?
Yeah, for whatever reason, every team seems to have these positions that they struggle to draft, and then they have other positions that they, just nail it. And it seems as though for the last 3 to 5 years, every time the Chiefs draft a corner, they play above the round they were drafted in, right? So everyone knows McDuffie, and I do think obviously he's their best corner now that Snead has gone. But Joshua Williams played really well last year, and Jalen Watson, when asked to play, played really well. And they're getting Nazarene Johnson back, who tore his ACL in camp last year, and before he got hurt, he was at least getting opportunity to start opposite Snead. So they've done a good job there. And then I'd say the other thing that helps is, they've done a good job. They always have a veteran safety and then youth around them, right? So they had the Honey Badger until that ran its course. And then they brought in Justin Reed. And look, the corners are great. I'm not like, I really think they are, but they always have that glue guy. And I think Justin Reed does that so well. And, lastly, I would just say he got hurt last year, but Brian Cook too. I mean, Brian Cook is a guy that covers a lot of ground. So they've just Brett Veach and Steve Spagnuolo, they have a type, and they find them and they get them in their system, and everything they're doing in the secondary right now just really, I think it makes them feel as though like a guy like McDuffie obviously is important because you need your true number one corner, but I think they feel that they'll never necessarily overpay any one guy. I think they're going to continue to draft defensive backs every year. And if some of these guys are going to get paid big time money, they'll let them walk when their time's up.
Well, you figure the only guy they didn't, let walk out the door was Chris Jones. That was obvious that, he was going to stay, and he got paid like top 3 lineman paid.
I've never seen a guy. I mean, obviously he gets his sacks, and that's important, and I get it. We base everything we believe about defensive sacks, which is sometimes unfair. I don't know that I've ever seen a player that makes more, maybe I'd say big plays that maybe don't show up in the stat sheet as much. Like he just blows up so many plays and messes up the timing of so many plays. So I think. I mean, I know they paid him a pretty penny, and at the end of the contract, maybe we'll grimace a little bit, but I think they had to lock him up because he's just
Chris
so
Jones.
important. Yeah, he's so important.
He's worth every dime.
Yeah.
He's worth every dime. You got to look. Let's give them credit. First of all, having Chris Jones and then Spags, their defense is what really helped them. Remember, Spags is a giant guy, so having Spags makes a big difference, right? Number one. And then number two, having Chris Jones on the line helps out. It's tremendous for a cornerback. Cornerbacks are either really great, the Deion Sanders, the Charles Woodsons and so forth, Darrell Reeves, okay? But you can build really good defensive backs if you have good defensive linemen. Because the lineman putting pressure, the less amount of time a quarterback has to throw the ball, and I don't want to use the word loosely, easier, because it's never easy covering a receiver, but it makes your life a lot easier covering a speedy receiver when the quarterback only has 3 to 4 seconds, right? Linemen are vital. If they can get to the quarterback, whether they hit him or not, but cause them some panic, throw off some rhythm, it helps out a cornerback. So I think there's a combination there. You got Spags, you got defensive back coach, developing those players, but it gives them, the pressure's a little bit off of them because they're not covering receivers for 6-7 seconds. You know what I mean? And it just makes them better. And, defensive back is a difficult position that you need your confidence all the time because every play is a new play. You can get beat for 6 and boom, make a big play. You got to forget about it, right? Every play is another play. But the linemen are the key. And having, Chris Jones there, he disrupts so much of an offense. Byron, you're a defensive lineman, right? I mean, I'm assuming defensive backs gotta love the lineman against the quarterback.
Yeah, but they do have George Kalafdis. Is that how you say his name? George Kalafdis.
Yep.
Him. They signed Derek Nandi? Is that the guy's name? Nandi, something like that. So they do have other guys where they can constantly rotate other linemen in, and the kid that I think was second year Kalafdis.
Yep.
Your second year, I guess. And he started coming along. He started playing, like what they expected him to play as far as being an edge rusher. And now you don't have to, you're going to game plan for one guy. Now you might have 2 or 3, and they're going to be fresh. Chris Jones is going to be, come out, get a breather, come back in, and there's nothing better than you can take a little breather, and then you can go balls to the walls, because you're fresh when you go out there. But it helps a lot when you got a help. You're just not the guy by yourself.
Yeah, and
It also helps when you have Patrick Mahomes on the other side that can hold on to the ball. Last year, though, their defense played very, very well. That's what helped them win that Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl because the offense was terrible. The offense was turning the ball over and so forth. That's not going to happen again this year. But
Oh
even
no,
with
the
that,
drop passes.
yeah,
yeah,
Mahomes is going to put up points. And as a defensive player, that's all you want. Like, remember I said that time when, my fraternity brothers our kicker, man, we won games just on field goals. And, as a defense, you're going to win game. You'll take a game anyway, but you can't win unless you put up points. Right. And so overall, the Chiefs just there's an overall package there. So I know we'll come back to the Chiefs in a little bit. Let's get back to the Giants because we started there. We fought our way to the Chiefs. I think, right now, what I'm seeing on Hard Knocks, I'm not impressed. And not only that, there was big complaints that the Giants had editing rights. Like all the other teams didn't ask for editing rights. The Giants wanted to make sure that they produced out there what they wanted to produce. And
Yeah, but
with
some
that,
of that stuff they should have cut out anyway because it's so bad when it came out.
that
What were
was
they
my
thinking?
point. I mean, what were you editing? It already looks bad. You know what I mean? I mean, I felt here in the background. What are we gonna do with Saquon? We can get this for him. We can get that for him. I mean, I don't know. It just seemed like it wasn't what I was expecting in the back office team. Right. It's just felt more good old boy, like, hey, kind of having fun with the chips. And it didn't seem like a team that was building something to win. You were going to say something, Jeff?
yeah. I was just gonna say two things. One, I think Dable. I think he's gonna get them going in the right direction. It's just, for better or worse, they have to find out is Daniel Jones, like, is he part of the solution or part of the problem, right? And I do agree. I think it was you, Byron, that said, like, they haven't done a lot to help him. Like, it reminds me a little bit of when Alex Smith was in San Francisco, and you have all these different coordinators, all these different players, offensive lines beat up, and then for him it was Harbaugh that created stability. I think maybe Dable could at least do that for Jones, but again, they're probably eventually. It seems as though they eventually have to move on. The only thing I was going to hit on, though, you said about what are they building towards. I will say that Brian Burns move to get him, it felt as though they got him way under what you would have expected to trade for him. So I do think you could start looking at the defensive line and saying that's where your build really starts to get off the ground.
Okay. And Byron, did you see what Santiago posted that the writing was on the wall for Darren Waller?
Yeah.
They had an inkling there.
Yeah.
Any other news coming out of Giant Land before we move on to other pieces?
Phil Johnson, our rookie tight end, he reported and he's on the injured list already. So we're already starting. Ain't nobody hit anybody, and he comes into camp and he's hurt already. But
What happened?
nobody knows. They didn't say anything about what kind of injury, where it happened, whatever. And they're expecting this kid to play, and then now all of a sudden, he's already behind the eight ball. That he's going to miss a little bit. The stuff that's going on, the conditioning, and all the other fun stuff. And
It's the field.
not well, it's the outside. We always say it in the field. Hey, I got to bring this up again. Remember a few years ago, like when Tampa played Kansas City, I was thinking about when you said, you were going to be on, and I want to bring this up. When Kansas City played Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, and they chased Patrick Mahomes all over the field all game long. And then, hey, we got a brilliant idea. What did they do the next year? They turned around and signed all these linemen to fix the issue that they had in 1 year. The Giants were working on 10 years as far as trying to fix the offensive line, and they fixed theirs in 1 year and then turn around and won a Super Bowl. That's what I had to bring up. I feel better now.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you what a lot of folks don't talk about with that Super Bowl is that the Chiefs had an all-pro right tackle in Mitchell Schwartz and a really good left tackle in Eric Fisher, and they both essentially had career-ending injuries in the same year. Like Fisher came back for one more year for the Colts, but he was never. You could tell he was never right again. And I will say, like, to Brett Veach's credit, even though they ended up moving on from Orlando Brown eventually, to lose two high quality guys like that in the same year and then be able to not only replace them but rebuild the interior. I mean, there was some luck involved there. I mean, they took a chance on Trey Smith. A lot of people thought Trey Smith would never play again. They used that 6th-round pick on him, and I don't know that he's the best guard in football, but he's in the conversation, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes you also you need those things to go your way too.
Can we get a little Kansas City sprinkled dust on the
Yeah.
Giants? Just a little dust, man.
Hey,
That's all. Just a little bit.
hey, I'll tell you, I get it, I do, because like I remember, it's just so funny because once you find like the franchise quarterback, it just changes so much. Because I remember so many off seasons where you're just going into it knowing you're just going to be at a disadvantage at that position, and it makes it's hard to overcome. But yeah, I mean, I do think the Giants are doing the right thing because it sounds like they are completely set on this is the year to figure out either Jones is the guy or he's not. And if he's not, then you have to do the tough thing and find who you really want and go get him.
Well, wait a second. I respect what you say, but I think you're using the term franchise quarterback kind of generously and lightly because
Yeah,
I don't think you can put because I can name several other franchise quarterbacks that are not Patrick Mahomes.
well, sure. Yeah, I mean,
Okay, so you got franchise quarterback, and then you got
Everybody else.
probably the GOAT. You know what I mean? I mean, he's going to be the next one, right? I mean, he because Justin Herbert's a franchise quarterback.
sure.
There's no confusion. CJ Stroud's franchise quarterback. Right now he's young. He's got time. He may be able to do it, but
Yeah.
it's not easy. We've rarely seen someone be so successful like Brady, and then have someone on the heels of him that fast within years,
Yeah.
and even played against each other. You know what I mean? Now, whether he wins 7 or not, I don't know.
That's
Whether he gets to 10 or not, I don't know. But Patrick Mahomes is a little bit more than just a franchise quarterback, right? I mean, he is a unique, special guy. I didn't think they were playing so bad last year offensively. I went against them twice, and I was 0 for 2. I did not go against them from that point on. Right. I just think he's different. But I think the whole organization, I always thought Andy Reid was a great coach when he was in Philadelphia. So I was happy for him to win his first one.
yeah.
We obviously love Spags, right? And Spags' defense, he changes it up. He mixes it up. I mean, that defense played well he's been playing well for several years. And based on what you just found out, what I just heard today about them drafting cornerbacks and developing cornerbacks, what they're doing is they're paying the top dollars for the guys they need, and they're developing the sprinkling the surrounding players around them. That's the organization. And the Kansas City Chiefs has always been a stand-up organization. But again, like I said, Patrick Mahomes is a little bit more special than a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. And I do think too the team's going to look a bit different this year because last year, like you said, I mean, there were games that there was more drop balls than points scored. I mean, it was ridiculous. But just like when they had the offensive line issues, they went and they were aggressive, and if you pick the right guys, they went and got Worthy and Hollywood Brown, brought McCole Hardman back. We'll see what happens there.
Yeah, but
Then you
remember,
guys signed
even
Irv
Patrick was
Smith
turning the
Jr.
ball over, though. He was fumbling. He was turning the ball over, too. I mean, he was not having, he wasn't looking his normal self. Once playoff time came, he had a different ball game. No, I think they had one turnover the entire play throughout the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Byron?
Then you signed Irv Smith Jr. too, I think, from Cincinnati, tight end.
That's a lot, and that's a lottery ticket, right? Like everybody thinks that one of these years he's gonna just get it together, but it just hasn't quite come to fruition yet.
Well,
Yeah,
learning under Kelsey is not going to hurt him.
No, that certainly. There are much worse guys that he could be learning from there, but I'll tell you, I think, yeah, we'll see. I mean, everybody thinks that those mega talented guys, they can be the coaching staff to get the most out of them. We'll see how that all plays out. I mean, I like the kid they drafted, Wiley. he just kind of has that look. He's an athlete, and then you just have to see, like, okay, he's a great athlete. Is he going to be a real pro and learn the game and all those other things that come with it?
Yeah, because it
And
takes more than talent.
Yeah.
and then you figure with the offense, they got a lot of speed. Worthy, they got the Hollywood Brown, and whoever else that they're gonna scare. I'm not gonna say it's like Tyreek Hill speed, but
Right.
they're gonna be a lot faster, than what they were. Where they're gonna threaten, the deep ball a little bit more probably this year than what they did last year with and wherever Kadarius Toney is gonna fit in, with all the stuff. Hopefully,
What do you mean? He's still there? I thought they cut him.
No,
No.
he's still on the team, but he was inactive in the playoffs, so I don't really get.
I thought I had read they cut him. No,
Nah,
I guess I was
he ain't
wrong.
one.
I'm
Not
surprised.
that guy's got blackmail on somebody because I mean, between every playoff game, he's posting cryptic things on social media, and he said the Chiefs lied about his injury and that he wasn't actually hurt. And I don't know, man. Look,
They don't care about it. That's why he didn't play, though, right?
Yeah.
And if he continues that, Andy Reid, they don't need him. They won the Super Bowl without him.
And my whole problem there is like any player can have an injury, get them, right? Like bad luck, get rolled up on a million different things. I just lose patience for people that are always hurt because more often than not, it's like they're not taking care of themselves. You know what I mean? They're not, like, is he doing the things that he needs to do to be ready to play? And it just doesn't seem like he does. Like he'll go make that one highlight reel play, but then
It's because he's in the studio cutting a rap album.
He's the Joker, whatever his name is. Yeah.
Is that what his name is?
The Joker, whatever.
Let's move on from the Kansas City. Hey, Byron, I think, did you pick what's this young man's name from Washington? Jaden Daniels. Didn't you have him at one time as the number one pick?
Yeah, I did. Oh,
Let me tell you that a lot of talk is that, how Bryce Young was number one and CJ Stroud was number two, and number two outperformed Bryce Young. There's talk going on that Jaden Daniels looks really good, that he may outplay, that there's a lot of hype for Caleb Williams.
Both of them are surrounded with talent. The only thing with the Washington Commanders, their offensive line is kind of but as far as having a running game, they're going to have that, Washington. They have the receivers at Washington. Then you go to, Chicago, they got the running game. They have a bunch of good receivers, three good, I think I ranked them number one, their trio of wide receivers. They have a better offensive line than what the Washington Commanders is. So Caleb is set up for success right from the door. I ain't gonna say the kid's gonna come in and just light it up the way CJ Stroud is, but he's set up for success. And if Jaden Daniels they fix the offensive line or just have a halfway decent offensive line in Washington, you might have two of them that are gonna play lights out.
Well, they're saying a lot of hype, that even the players, everyone is saying a lot of good things about them, and a lot of the commentators are mentioning that it could be another second year where the second round pick outperforms the first round pick. And there's a lot of proof. There's new ownership. You don't know what's going on. There could be a lot of good things happening there.
The only thing with Jaden Daniels is that he's a little light. Like, he's body,
he looks thin.
His body,
right.
He's real thin, and he had a every now and then playing at LSU, where he would get, blown up. Blown like in half. And you're like, okay, he got up from that one. So now you go to the NFL and he does the same thing. You might not see him for 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks because he's going to be out, because it's going to be a big difference when these guys, light him up at this level. And the same thing with, Caleb Williams. He was standing next to Keon Coleman, the wide receiver from with Buffalo. And they list him at 6'4", Coleman, and they list Caleb Williams at like 6'2". And when they're standing next to each other, it's like, whoa, yeah, that's not even close to 6'2", man. He's a lot smaller, man, than what they claim that he is. He's not 6'2".
Who's this?
Caleb Williams. He is not 6'2". No. But he's
how tall is Jaden?
about 6'4".
Oh, Jaden's big. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Caleb Williams isn't. I don't know. I think there's a lot of hype with Caleb Williams.
How's Caleb Williams going to handle things when things don't go right? Is what I wonder with him. Like when things aren't perfect, which they won't be. How's he going to react to that?
He'll go up in he'll go up in the stands and cry like he did, when he was at USA. When he went up there and was crying with his mother, and they got to see the fingernail polish and all this other stuff that he had. So yeah. And also he's a Southern, he played at USC, so now he's going to be playing outside the cold up there in Chicago. So how, is he going to respond? But that is a big difference playing, 70, 80 degrees, and then you go up there to Chicago.
And Chicago's like cold.
Cold and windy.
Yeah.
Cold.
Cold.
So, we'll see there. But just a lot of good. We got a lot of good talk with Jaden Daniels, I'm hearing. It's just good. And remember, the NFC East is always up for grabs, right? No one's ever won it 2 years in a row since over 20 years.
So Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys, yeah. No, Cowboys got problems. I don't know what's going on there. We talk about it every week. It's either excuse me, I'm catching the cold. Either something they have up their sleeve and we don't know about, or it's Jerry Jones is just getting too old to be doing this, because this is the quietest everybody's seen them. Nobody even knows what they're doing. They have contracts to sign. They got to figure stuff out. They're not making any moves. Everybody else is making moves. They're not even talked about, right? If anything, they're talked about for the least of information, so least of activity that's going on. So I don't know.
Yeah, but look what's going on. Look what's going on with them. You got Dak is going to want at least $60 million. You got, and we talked about this before. You got Nick, Micah Parsons. He's going to want Nick Bosa money. That's $34 million. You got CeeDee Lamb is going to want $34 million. He's want that wide receiver money. You have Trayvon Diggs, the corner. He's going to want whoever is the top paid, corners money. So that's a lot of money, between four people, and figure a couple other guys that come up that we even know about, but that's a lot of money, man. They got to come out, and we've looked at as far as where their salary cap number is, they're like when they're negative, man. They ain't got no money to spend like that. That's why they weren't active in free agency.
You guys think they could pull the blockbuster and next year franchise and trade Dak?
They can't franchise him.
They can't franchise him, right?
They can't.
Oh, well, then there goes that. I was thinking they could franchise him, but okay. No. Well, if they can't franchise him, then it's...
No, they're in trouble.
Yeah, because he's going to get an open market contract. Because other teams are going to compete and drive up the number. Whew. That's trouble.
It might be more than 60.
Wow. Yeah, but the new team deal and all that.
He needs to hire Kirk Cousins' agent.
That guy won business.
The greatest agent.
I was say he won the business of football as well as anyone we've ever seen. That's all I was.
Kirk Cousins, right?
Yeah, for sure.
He got the greatest agent in the history of sports. Period.
Yeah,
man. I just
period.
We talk about it all the time. It keeps shocking me. All right, we got the Hall of Fame inductee coming up. So look, we got Dwight. The people are going to be there's in order. Dwight Feeney. All right, we all know him from the Colts. Steve McMichael, former
Mongo.
Mongo.
That's what they call him.
Who?
Steve
McMichael. You got Randy Grandishar. You got.
Finally,
I want to talk about Devin Hester, Patrick Willis, Julius Peppers. All right, I'll take Julius Peppers and Andre Johnson. What are your thoughts about that selection, Byron?
Well, one, Devin Hester should not have gotten into the Hall of Fame before Brian Mitchell, Washington Redskins, back in the day. I think he was number 2. Well, Commanders, Redskins, whatever you want to call him. But I think he was number 2 as far as like total yardage, like receiving, kickoff, this and that. I think it's like 22,000 or whatever crazy number. So why isn't he in before this guy in? And that's the only problem I have with that selection.
Well, I'm surprised that he got in so fast. I mean, like, not for nothing, he was a phenomenal return man, but that's it. He wasn't even that good of a receiver.
or defensive back or whatever else they try to
He
put
was
him.
he was a receiver, whatever he played, but I wouldn't have punted the ball, that's for sure. But I'm just so surprised that from, you know, I'm a punt returner, but being a punt returner to be able to get in, is this his first time, his first ballot?
No, I think it's like a couple of years ago. I think it's been a couple of years that that he finally got in, but he should be in. Not now, not before Brian Mitchell, man. Brian Mitchell was the guy as far as punt returning and this and that, and if you figure what was the guy's name that plays now? What the big guy? Cordell Patterson. Cordell Patterson. They're gonna start when he breaks the record for most kickoff returns that Jesse Hester has. Well, Hester now. Then what? Are you gonna put him in too because he returned a whole bunch of kickoffs? Come on, no.
I mean, he's only had his numbers are not that phenomenal. I mean, he's got 16 touchdowns in 9 years, right? So a total of 16 touchdowns. He's never had like a massive year where he had like his biggest year was 4 touchdowns. Right? His yards, he's only got 3,300 yards. I mean, a quarterback does that in a year.
Yeah, and Brian Mitchell has 22,000 or whatever the number. Yeah, like something crazy he has. Yeah.
I think people
It's up
fall in
there.
love. I think people fall in love with Hester just because all his highlights are like, this guy is 3 times faster than everybody else on the field, and they let it get in the way of their better judgment. Like it's the flashy.
Well, he's got
like here
he's
they
got
got like
more return yard. He's got more return touchdowns. Wait a second, hold on. Let me see here. Right, see. He's got 16 receiving touchdowns. He's got 14 return touchdowns. I mean, that's impressive. 14 touchdowns, right?
Yeah.
But
but
I
Hall of
mean,
Fame.
if you're gonna put him in as a special teams, I get it. But I would think there's more dynamics to the game, and he's never taken and it wasn't like he did that while he took the Bears or Atlanta to anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you're talking about the Hall of Fame is supposed to be, you're the best, the best of the best, the best 340 or 50 players that ever played the game. Is Devin Hester one of the best 350 players that ever played the game?
I don't know about that.
Well, I mean, he's got a lot of return yard. I mean, he 1 year he had 1,400 yards in returns. That's pretty right.
And Brian
That's
Mitchell probably had
impressive.
just as much, even more.
Okay, so let's go. Let's
But
see,
then you
Devin
have
Hester.
then you have the other guy on here, Randy Gradishar. Why did it take him 40 years to get in? Gradishar. He was a great player with Denver for a long time, and it took him 40 years. He's almost 40 years for him not to get. Then I'm gonna bring up a Kansas City Chief that should be in the Hall of Fame. Deron Cherry should be there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You said
he-
Brian Mitchell?
Yep. Deron Cherry should have been there. Him too. He's
I
another
remember
guy
him.
that get it overlooked. And of course, he's a Jersey guy, so that's why I had to bring him up.
Yeah.
And Kevin Ross, that's another Jersey guy, Kansas City.
They were tough.
I'm going back in old and Art Still, another one, another Jersey guy from Camden, right across the bridge.
They would just assume, drag you into the alley as they would anything else. Those guys were tough.
Yeah.
Kevin Ross, pound for pound, is one of the toughest guys I've ever seen in the secondary. I mean, that dude was a battler.
Who's that?
Kevin Ross.
Yeah, he's tough.
And I played with him in the high school All-Star game in Jersey. Kevin Ross. Matter of fact, I think I have his autograph too. We signed everybody's stuff around here somewhere.
You said Brian Mitchell or Buster Mitchell? I can't find it. You said Brian Mitchell,
Brian
right?
Mitchell. Yeah, Brian.
B-R-Y, B-R-I?
B-R-I, Brian.
You talking Brian Mitchell he played for Washington and the Eagles?
Yep.
Yeah, he was the best return man in football for,
Yeah.
I mean, half a time, if not. Yeah, he was awesome.
Like
Can't
here,
find
he has an NFL career kickoff
this.
return yard, 14,000 yards returning kickoffs. Punt return almost 5,000 returning punts. Most career total return yards 19,000. That's what this guy has. 19,000.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
he
he's got
has rushing
19,000.
yards.
Yeah.
Rushing yardage. He has
How many
another.
TDs?
He has let's see, 12. Yeah, 12 rushing because he played running back. 4 receiving touchdowns. He has 13 return touchdowns. 13.
He's
So
got four. Devin Hester has 14 punt return touchdowns and 5 kickoff return touchdowns. So he's got a total of 19, and he's got a total of about 11,000 yards total between punt and kick.
here we go. He is currently second on the NFL all-time all-purpose yard with 23,000 yards behind Jerry Rice, Brian Mitchell, and people they don't bring him up.
Yes, I don't know how Mitch Devin. That's why I saw Devin Hester. Don't get me wrong, but I mean I loved watching him when he punted the ball, but I'm just surprised. I
Yeah,
mean, I like
and
that he's
what?
a hurricane getting in, but I'm just surprised.
But what did Jeff say? Jeff sit there and said that it was the highlights. People saw the highlights. The Boomer. And, Chris Berman, all these guys saw the high. Oh, look at blah blah blah. And that's what they saw every week. You got
well,
a guy,
his
Brian. Go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say his return in the Super Bowl. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Like every don't kick to him, don't kick to him. They open the Super Bowl, they kick to him, and he houses it. And that was the last time they kicked to him the entire. Like
yeah,
that's tough to do. I mean, I will say that. Like his peak was phenomenal. But I agree with your sentiment on Brian Mitchell. I mean, how can you be second all time in yards and not be in that? That's crazy.
yeah. 23,000 behind Jerry Rice,
Sure.
and he's not. Come on. That's an injustice right there. And I could think of, it's a couple other ones off the top of my head I could think of that, should be in the, haven't, got even a sniff of the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Well, like I said, the rest of them, I'm good with. Just again, Devin Mitchell caught me by surprise. I mean, Devin Hester caught me by surprise. So, all right, well, as we're wrapping this up, all right, we brought this up last week. Did you see Caitlin Carr going to the WNBA? 19 assists, 20 points.
They were padding their stats, man.
Why can't you give this girl some love, man? How do you pad stat? You can't pad an assist.
The person that's sitting at the end of the bench, and they're sitting there with the little book. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi,
Byron,
3
so
Mississippi.
You're like
What am I like now?
you're like it's like this show. You forget it's recorded. You're forgetting that this is on TV. They're counting it on TV, and she should have had more than 20 because some of her players drop the ball. They can't finish.
Somebody, man, I'm telling you, man, they said at the end of the bench, man, 1 Mississippi. Eric was in the room.
Oh, he was. I've
Yeah,
been looking for him, but he always comes in at late time. So I mean,
yeah, he did it again.
Yeah, I didn't. I looked to see if he was in here. I'm going around looking at stats, and then he comes in too late. So I ain't feeling well. So we got 5 minutes. We're cutting this at the same time. But anyhow, yeah. But she's on record. She's got a record for double doubles now. She's starting to catch up. She's pushing it for rookie of the year. Her against Angel Reese.
Yep.
She has 8 double doubles. I think that's her streak right now. And I think Angel Reese streak is at 13, 14.
Yep.
Let's see. In fact, Sarah Reese surpasses Clark. Different. I don't know. This girl is going to just get better and better and better, dude. I mean, do you watch any of that, Jeff?
I can't say I do, but I will say this: this is the most the WNBA has ever been talked about. I mean, like whether it's social media, whether it's podcasts. I mean, before this year, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about any of the storylines? So I do think it's good for their league. You know,
Mhm.
it's great. It's great. And you know, Caitlin Clark brings in, an, uh, I guess, a new group of fans, and then some of the other young players seem to be doing the same thing as well.
What's good? It's they got to look at it as she's bringing the exposure to the league,
Yep.
and it's helping the players that were already great, anyways.
Yep. That's
Right?
right.
So
Yep.
it's not hurting them. It's not taking away from them. It's giving them the opportunity to showcase. It's like, you know, it's like when there was no cable, right? You only had your local market, so you thought they were the greatest. And then, now football, you got your teams. You got a lot of people that have their teams, and there's a lot of people now. Back in the day, it wasn't like this. When now people will say, "Well, what's your team?" He goes, "Well, I like players." Like you'll hear a lot more of that than I have a particular team. You know what I mean? And so Caitlin is given exposure, and I think Angel Reese is doing her job. I mean, they're all good. I mean, you start looking at some of Sue Bird stuff, even though I didn't watch as much as her, but I always liked women's basketball because they're a team sport. But to bring it to the league, I mean, and some of them are. I mean, Brianna Stewart is just an incredible athlete from UConn. She's got 4 national championships, several WNBA championships. But if you notice the WNBA as well as the NBA, shooting that 3 ball is the way the basketball is being played now. So, but just her putting up 19 assists the other day and 20 points is crazy. They lost, but I think she's got to get to a point where she's got to determine when she's going to take over the game. Because I think she passes a little bit more than she needs to, and I think when she needs to shoot, she should shoot, not give up the ball. I mean, Byron, you know the game, right? There's sometimes it's better not to make the correct pass than having your best shooter shoot.
Yeah.
Right? I'd rather lose when my best shooter shoot than making a great pass to someone that may not be able to have that finish on them. You know what I mean? And there's a big difference between that. Sometimes people don't understand that. Even if they miss, oh my God, that person's wide open. Yeah, but I'd rather lose with my best shooter.
Kobe understood that a little too well. I mean,
Oh boy, did he!
he
Oh, he
understood.
did. Give me the ball.
Yeah.
Get out the way.
There is no confusion who's going to shoot it. Right?
Yeah.
There's no confusion. And then same thing with Michael Jordan. They asked Scottie Pippen, goes, so what were you thinking when they had to go? Just get out the way. Because they got, and then even Rodman goes, dude, there ain't no way he's gonna pass this at what ball. He's like, I knew it. I'm just going to get a rebound. I'm going to either get a rebound or we're gonna win this game. But there's no way that ball's leaving Michael Jordan's hands. Like,
Nope.
and Kobe was the same. I remember a story real quick when we were wrapping this up. We had a story real quick that when Kobe was playing and Shaq was putting, he goes, man, give me the ball, give me the ball. But hey, he goes, give me the ball, give me the ball. Okay. He goes, man, dude, I'm open, give me the ball. He goes, you get the ball, get the rebound. I'm shooting. He goes, I'm shooting it. You know what I mean? I'm shooting it. There's no confusion. So, but I think Cam needs to understand that part, right? And the funny part, I like to see the relationship. Byron, I don't know if you're watching, but the relationship between her and Aaliyah Boston is
Pretty good.
becoming. They're becoming
Yeah.
like Stockton / Curry and Malone. Like those two, their pick and roll is incredible, and Aaliyah Boston is balling now, And then the funny part, they were in the, they lost the game, so no player, no player, I don't even know how to put it, but most players, they break a record, you lose the game, they don't want to really talk about the record. Aaliyah Boston came to her rescue. She goes, look, she's gonna play this down, but I'm not going to let her play her down. That was impressive. 19, even though they lost, so her partner came to her rescue, and Caitlin answered her, the way she should answer. She goes, hey, look, I'm best. My team has helped me. I'm putting them in position. They're the ones finishing off. There's sometimes that I forced to pass, but we lost the game, and she doesn't want to dwell on a record when you lose the game. You want to get the record and win the game, And I'll leave you with this as we sign off. Jeff, we really appreciate you coming on. Please welcome to come back on, especially during the season. So when we see the Kansas City doing what they do, I think they got a good shot, good three-peating. I'll tell you that much. But I will leave you with there was a story of Michael talking about records and winning, right? There's a story that the Michael Jordan, when he owned the Chicago was it Yeah, Chicago Bobcats.
Oh,
He was in an
Charlotte.
owner Charlotte. He was in an owners meeting with the NBA owners, and he was sitting next to the owner of the Golden State Warriors, right? And he leans over to him, and the Golden State Warriors broke the record for the most wins in the NBA season with 73. They beat Michael's team of 72. So Michael's team had 72 wins. Golden State had 73 wins. Michael leans over. He goes, "Hey, 73 don't mean beep unless you win the championship." So Michael kind of wanted to get his still dig in as an owner, as a competitive player, saying, "Hey, we won 72 games and the championship. You won 73 games and lost the championship." He goes, "To me, it don't matter." So, all right, Jeff, thanks for joining us. Byron, as always, welcome back. When's your next journey trip? You're going to take another trip like that again?
No. I'm going to Massanutten next. That's not that bad. That's like 4 or 5 hours from Massanutten, Virginia.
Oh, okay, awesome. And Poconos is pretty close, no?
Yeah, it's right up the street.
Oh, it's right up the street. Well, that's pretty cool. All righty. All right, don't forget, we are live every Thursday. What time, Byron? Exactly, 8 p.m.
8 o'clock.
Streaming live. You can get on YouTube, see our recordings there. Please don't forget to subscribe to all our channels on YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. We'll have more guests. We're getting ready for the season. Things are heating up. Jeff, thanks for joining us, show. Byron, love to you and the Jones family, and we want to wish everybody safe and good night, and bless prayers to the Bryant family. Kobe Bryant's dad just passed away recently, so little shout out to the Bryant family. All right, gentlemen, we will talk to you next week. Take care.
On digital radio, on the app, on your smart